performance to be managed. We shall also look at it from the perspective of the line manager. Why is it also very important that the line manager should pay attention to how he manages his employees' activities? And then we shall then look at it from the organizational or business perspective. Why should the organization be involved or get involved with performance management? So a quick survey. Let's use our chat box. Do you have a performance management or performance appraisal system in your organization currently running? Please respond yes in the box or no in the chat box. Let's talk. Do you currently have a performance management system or some kind of performance management in your organization? Please respond. We're going to ask 3 different questions. So let's take the first one. Yes, please respond. Respond in the chat box, yes. I have 6 responses. There are about 15 of us here right now. I need more response. Okay, so I have yes, beautiful. So we have, thank you very much. Okay, that is good. So I'm going to share my screen. Now, the performance management system you have, do you run it as an annual performance appraisal, or do you run it once in 6 months? How often do you run your performance appraisal? Please respond. How often do you run your performance review?
Yeah, good morning.
Morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning. Happy new month. In my organization, we do our performance appraisal every quarter.
Okay, every quarter. Beautiful. Yes. And thank you. That is noted. Yes, others can. Who else? How often do you do your performance review? You can respond in the chat box so we can see what you have.
Ours is ongoing.
Okay. Ongoing, biannual, quarterly. I'm beginning to get a response. Ongoing, beautiful, yearly, quarterly, biannual, mid-year, and then end of year, once a year. All right, great. Thank you. Beautiful. Biannual, okay. Okay, that's nice. In the audience, we have various blends. Those who do annual, those who do once in 6 months, others whose own is ongoing. We'll engage those whose own is ongoing a little bit later to ask you the model that you're using, all right, and why you're doing ongoing, to see what value you have going for you at those points in time. So in our conversation this morning, we are going to look at the performance management overview. We'll look at performance planning, performance monitoring, and then also conducting your appraisal exercise. I will need you to pay very close attention to the various stages. I'm going to move as quickly as possible so I can create time for us to have some engagement and questions down the line. If you have a feedback or a question, please do not unmute yourself. just drop it in the chat box. I will respond to it as soon as possible or at the end of the conversation. But I will invite you for conversation as we make progress down the line. So can you see my slides? If you can see my slide, please confirm. If you can see my slides, please confirm you can see my slide. So type yes if you can see my slides, please. Thank you, Gbemisola, for responding. Ayatunde, Prince, Tony. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thanks, 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 thanks. Thank you. So let's start with the first one. The overview of the performance management system. First, it will be nice for us to define what performance management is. What exactly is performance management? People have different definitions of performance, but if you define performance management, your definition must include the following things. 1, predetermined goals. 2, communication. 3, action. 4, progress. So those 4 words somehow must find its place in your definition. Performance management is the process of assessing progress towards achieving predetermined goals. That means performance management is not random. There must be a stage where the goals are agreed before we work towards those particular goals. Then there must be periodic communication during your performance management system. And then action must happen by various stakeholders. We shall discuss the stakeholders in a bit in your performance management system. I'd like to share a second definition. Performance management is a strategic and integrated process that delivers sustained success to organizations. How is this achieved? By continuous improvements of its people, by developing the capabilities of individuals and the teams in that particular organization. Since we say performance management is a strategic and integrated process, the word strategy there means that performance management is not a transaction left for the lower levels and the supervisors only. It is something that must be on the MD's agenda, on the agenda of the executives in the organization. If we succeed in managing performance at the employees level, most probably we will succeed in achieving the objectives of the organization also. All things being equal at that point in time. Performance management can also be seen as 2 integrations, a vertical integration and also a horizontal integration. In the vertical integration, what you see there is the alignment of business objective to departments, to teams, to individuals. And this alignment is done according to core competencies. In the horizontal integration, we link together all the various systems within the organization that drives and supports the performance management. Your coaching system, your talent management system, okay? And your succession management system, the various systems in the organization, okay? They are all integrated because they support the activities of performance management. What is the essence? Why do we do performance management? What's the essence of performance management? Some people feel that we do performance management so I will know the people who are not performing, so I can sack them. Some other people feel that we do performance management so I will know what bonus to pay. Interestingly, performance management is based on the agreement of objectives, on clear knowledge, skills, and capabilities that are required to achieve those objectives, and then continuous improvements based on the individual development plans. And so note those keywords. The essence of performance management is there must be agreement, there must be skills, okay? Capability requirements must be in place. We must improve performance continuously, and we also have to develop plans in order to move employees from where they are to the next level. This then means that performance management clarifies corporate goals. Where is the MD going? Where are the heads of the department? What are they doing to support the direction of the MD? How do we translate the corporate goals to various levels? How do we improve performance? Encourage self-management, right? Measure performance against the agreed goals of the organization. There must be mutual respect for individuals in the organization between the line manager and the employee during the performance review process. The performance management system must also be fair. The way it is treated for Tunde must be the same way it should be done for Hadiza. It must also be transparent. It shouldn't be shrouded in secrecy. When the manager wants to enter his comment, he will ask you to leave. He will enter his comment and submit it without you reading it or seeing the comment. It shouldn't be in secrecy. The manager makes recommendations and you, the employee, is not aware of the performance recommendations that are made for you. Those level of secrecy is not a good performance management system. Now, for clarity, if you don't take anything away from my conversation with you today, take this particular conversation away. The objectives of performance management, one, is to improve performance. The whole idea of putting a performance management department in place, of ensuring that line managers do the right thing, is to ensure that employees are developed in order to improve their performance. It must also satisfy the needs of the employee and the expectations of the organization at that point in time. And finally, there must be involvement and communication in order for us to achieve what we're doing within that particular time. Your performance management system is made up of 4 things. There are 4 areas in your performance management system. The first part is standards. So if you say you have performance management in place, the first question we'll ask, what are the performance standards? What are the indicators to show that we have achieved results? If an employee has performed, if a department has performed, how do we know? What are the goals and the targets that we are pursuing? Those goals must be very clear in the organization, clear goals that are being achieved in the organization. We must also communicate expectations, communicate standards of expectations to both persons in the organization. These are the things we need. Measurement. Now you are clear about the goals. You must capture data. Okay? You must continue to collect data. How is the employee doing? So collection of data is critical in performance management. You don't wait at the end of the year. You now use an objective, a subjective means to rate the employee or to rate what has happened. Periodically, we must capture and mine data. 3, the data we have captured, we must report it at agreed periods. Monthly reviews, quarterly reviews, half-yearly reviews, annual reviews. You must analyze the data and present it so that management can take an informed decision. Those who are at the top in the organization can take decisions. And this reporting must be done on a periodic and regular basis in the organization. Quality improvement process. Now that you have set standard, you have measured, you have reported. The next thing is, are there gaps between the standard and what employees have delivered? If there are gaps, what is your quality assurance system in place to ensure that those gaps are closed? If an employee is a salesperson and is expected to bring in 50 accounts and to sell 100 units of the product, at 200 million naira. You see, those are our point time. What if the employee 10 million? Is performing? Yes, he's performing. However, he must perform in the context of the KPIs. How about the number of accounts? Is the 200 million coming from just one account? Why did management say that the money must come, that the revenue must come from 10 or more accounts? It's because each KPI has something that it is driving. If you have a redundant KPI and it is not driving anything, please remove it. There is no need having 10 KPIs, 20 KPIs. If it is only 2 that is driving process, let's focus on those particular 2 and deliver results in those particular areas. So it's critical for us to ensure that we're able to make our KPIs deliver very well. So your quality improvement process, use the data for decision, manage change. Is there a need to change the KPI? Is there a need to change the expectation? Is there a need to improve employee performance at that point in time? You can focus on doing all that at that point. So that's your performance management system. Now, your performance management comes in 4 phases. There's a planning phase, all right, where you determine what should be performed or what the results will be delivered on, actions identified. There's execution and do what we're supposed to. There is review. We understand the impact of our policy, we review our performance, we look at stakeholder feedback, employees' feedback, line managers' feedback, all right, the business leaders' feedback, the big picture circumstance at that point in time. And then finally, we may then revise our performance management system. The lessons learned each year is used to improve the next year. Please note, you must never do a project the same way you did it last time. Every project you do, each time you do, even if it is the same parameters, each time you do it, there must be a significant increase or improvement in that particular project, either in the quality of the project, the turnaround time of that particular project, or a resource requirement or utilization of that particular project. Same thing too with performance management. So performance management should also drive that particular way. It should grow in those areas at that point in time, okay? Now, alignment of business objectives. There is corporate goals. It usually starts at the corporate goals level. From corporate goal, you align it down to functional goals. From functional goals, you take it down to team goals. From team goals, you take it down to individual goals at that point in time. Those are the 4 levels, as the case is. The corporate goals are, for example, your MDs or your executives goals. What are the goals of the organization? An organization can say we want to, that's a corporate goal, to become number 1, all right? But to become number 1, what are the various ways each department can support us? Each function can support being number 1. Let me give you an example. The HR department. If your organization's goal is to be the best in your industry, do you have the best staff working for you? Do you have the most talented people in the industry working for you? When you're hiring, do you hire talented individuals or you manage staff? Your remuneration system, do you pay the best or you pay below the best? You see, each thing you have in your corporate goal, it has implication in your policies, in the way you run your organization down the line at that point in time. So this is called cascading. Alignment of corporate objectives all the way down to individuals is cascading of those particular objectives. Now, as performance management is going on, the next thing you have to do is to provide feedback. When you're monitoring performance, you provide feedback, you provide coaching, you provide counseling. Coaching, counseling, and feedback are 3 different ways of monitoring performance. What is feedback? Feedback is when you pat an employee at the back. Joel, you're doing very well. Great job. I like doing that job. Joel, this particular area, you missed it in this particular area. Can you pay attention in this area next time? That's called feedback. Whether it is positive or negative, whether he needs to improve or you're thanking for what he has done, it is feedback. Note, feedback is different from counseling. Feedback is different from counseling. Counseling is given in a performance environment where an employee is missing it in his behavior, in the how, in the way he is doing his work. Take, for example, a customer service officer that resumes work at 8:30 after customers are already waiting. Instead of resuming at 8 o'clock, he's resuming at 8:30. That's a behavior that is not acceptable because of the job that particular individual does. A driver that when it's time to go out, you're looking for the driver everywhere. That's a behavior that is not acceptable. So you counsel that person that, look, this behavior is not a good behavior. It does not mean that the individual does not know his job. Because that customer service, once she sits down on her desk, she's excellent on that work, but she's late regularly. The driver, when he drives, no dent, no issue with the car. His car is always clean, but you're always looking for him. So those are behaviors that you don't want to encourage at that point in time. Or a line manager who is insulting on his employees. He manages very well. Results come from his area. His employees are developing very well. But he's always insulting. He's always insulting his people, calling them names. That's a behavior that is not acceptable. So you use counseling to address those kind of failures. The third way of monitoring performance, apart from feedback and counseling, is coaching. Coaching is different from feedback. Coaching is different from counseling. Coaching is focused on growing capability in terms of knowledge, in terms of skill, by giving the employee an opportunity to experience and do the job well. So you coach the employee, you teach him what he doesn't know already. You show him how to do it. You watch him while he's doing it and support him where he's making mistakes. So coaching will lead to an increase in capability for that particular employee. A line manager must be ability to give counseling and ability to coach his team members. Then you say you have a good performance management manager in place at that point in time. Now, any feedback on this introduction, please share your comments or share your questions in the chat box at this point in time. I'll wait for 2, 5, 10 seconds for any of your feedback. Please chat only. Any comments, any feedback? Osime Peter, yes, you are going to get the slides. Okay, so the next thing is performance planning. As part of every performance management system, you must plan for results. You must plan for performance. When it comes to performance planning, this is a four-step process for planning performance. You must set objectives. This is what we want to achieve. You must set the standard. This is what the standard looks like that we must achieve. Then areas of performance improvement. What are the areas the employee needs to improve himself in order to advance more? Then agreements for monitoring performance and also for improving results at that point in time down the line, all right? Okay, so those are examples of how to plan performance. Now, your performance planning must also include employee development plan. You cannot plan for what you expect your staff to deliver without thinking about which areas does the employee need to develop for him to deliver the results. If an employee can produce results easily, without development, then your performance plan is not stretchy enough. Every goal you give an employee must stretch him. An employee is used to doing 20 units as an example. You can't give him 20 units every day, every year. He won't grow. So periodically kick it up a notch. But if you kick it up a notch to say from 20 to 22 to 25, you must ask yourself, which area does he need to develop in order to achieve 20 or 25 at that point in time? Does he need coaching? Does he need training? Does he need mentoring? Does he need job rotation or job enlargement? Does he need feedback from other colleagues so he can understand the job very well? All right. Your employee development plan must record the agreed actions an employee must take in order to improve his performance, and the knowledge he needs to develop and the skills he needs to acquire for him to succeed on that particular job. So when we come to the performance review, the employee will not say he is not aware of the requirements for success on that particular job. Then finally, there's an employee performance agreement. We sign an agreement with the employee, okay? Every performance plan must include a signature where we agree, where the employee say, I hereby agree that these are my KPIs, these are my targets, these are the things I'm going to work on in this particular period. That document, performance agreement, will include 1, KRA, key result areas. What are areas of focus? 2, SMART objectives. That is what he must deliver on that are smart, measurable, all right, can be delivered in the time in question and is actually attainable. What are the standards of success? When I deliver, what will it look like? What are the competencies required to do this job very well? What are the indicators, KPIs, performance measures, right? What are the values I must display in doing this job at this point in time? Then he will endorse. And then we'll move on to the performance period. During your performance planning, these are some of the things an employee must bring, when a manager must know. Before the performance planning meeting, review the corporate scorecard, review the departmental scorecard. What are in those scorecards? Before you sit down with Joel to have a discussion on what Joel is going to perform, read the employee's job description. What exactly is Joel's job in this organization? What are the most important competencies that he must have to be successful? And determine the key indicators for success in each of those areas. Before you invite Joel to come and sit down, let's discuss your performance for the year. Let's discuss what you're going to do for the next period. The line manager must be clear on the expectations. During the meeting, discuss and come to an agreement with the employees on issues of targets, priority, and competencies. Then agree on the employee's individual development plan for the period. Once you do this, you are good to go. You will have done a very good performance plan. Same thing too is expected of the employee. All right. During the performance plan period, you, the employee who is going in to sit down with your manager, review the department scorecard. What are we doing in our department? What's the work in this department? Review your own personal job description. Every employee is supposed to have his job description. So review your job description. Which areas of your job description are critical areas? If possible, use a highlighter and highlight your major job areas. So when you sit with your manager, it is clear between you and your manager, areas of focus, the key result areas. And then think about your job. Think about what you have done in the previous performance season, what you've done at that point in time, and consider what other measures you can use in order to increase your success. When you do meet with your manager, discuss and come to agreements on your competencies, responsibilities, and targets. Also discuss what support the manager is going to provide to you during the performance season to ensure you do a great job at that point in time. This is what is required for performance plan. Now, when you're discussing performance plan, there are 2 areas to focus on: behavior and results. Results refer to what the employee must achieve. Actual job outputs, countable numbers, 20 bags, 200 units, 2,000 letters, 2,000 Facebook likes, okay? Those are countable results. Measurable outcomes and accomplishments, objective, and make sure they are quantitative, cost-related, or time-related, as the case is. When you're discussing behavior, on the other hand, you'll be looking at how will the employee do the work? What should be the style the employee should use to do the work? Are there values in the organization he must adhere to? Are there competencies and performance factors he must follow, right? Are there traits? Are there attributes? Are there proficiencies and characteristics in which the employee should behave in at that point in time? How about his personal style, his mannerism, his approach? All of those should be brought to bear. So when the employee is performing, you will not tell them, look, this area is not the way you're supposed to do it, but you didn't mention it during, so be very clear and fit at that point in time. So when you're looking at behaviors, look at knowledge, look at attributes, look at habits and skills the employee should bring to the table in order for him to be successful. And so to make this work very well, be clear on the key result areas, set targets, make sure the targets and the key result area are in alignment to the corporate goals. and get commitment by discussion with the employee, so we can deliver a great job at that point in time. Note that performance can happen at 3 levels: at the organization level, at the departmental level, and at the individual level. For the sake of this conversation, we're discussing employee performance management. I'm going to leave organizational and department and focus on the individual. There is a formula that you can use to improve performance and to grow performance. This particular formula says performance is a function. For those of you who do statistics and mathematics in school, performance is a function of ability plus some total of motivation plus some total of opportunity. You can call it AMO. Performance is equal to sum of AMO. A is ability. An employee can only perform the extent to which he has ability. If you have a security guard who is guarding somewhere in the night, and the success on that job depends on the extent to which you are awake. There are some people who cannot stay awake throughout the night. There are some people after 12 midnight, they've fallen asleep. Another person, no matter what you do, he cannot stay awake beyond 2 o'clock. Those are examples of what we refer to ability. His ability to do a particular job. Another thing, maybe is in a refinery, people are carrying bags of finished products. One person can carry 2 bags, another person can carry 3 bags, another person can carry 4 bags. That person that is carrying 2 bags, if you load 4 on him, he will fall on the ground. He cannot carry that 4. That again is his ability. Then there's also thinking faculty for those who do creative jobs. There are some people who are very good in creativity. They can design anything. Let's say in the architectural world, someone can design a bungalow extremely well, but if you give him a duplex to design, he will not be able to design it well. His ability stops at bungalows. So you understand ability now. The more you increase an employee's ability, the more performance increases. 2, motivation. No matter how able an employee is, if he's not motivated, if he's not driven, if he does not have a reason to do what he's doing, he will not pull his weight. He will not bring all his ability out. This is why it is important to find what motivates employees and encourage them to continue to advance in those particular areas. As line managers in the organization, we can create an environment that is enabling and motivates employees to produce results. The third one in the formula is opportunity. I might have the ability and I am motivated to do the job, but there's no opportunity to do the job. Imagine if I'm in sales. I am a great salesperson. I'm inspired to sell, but there are no products. The factory has not made the products. How can I perform without products? How can I sell without having products to sell at that point in time? So you need to understand that one of the major responsibilities of the line manager when it comes to performance management is to create opportunities so that employees can get the job done. The more opportunities there are, the more the employees can do the work at that point in time. So this is the formula for you to be able to achieve better results. So to improve performance, pay attention to 1, increasing ability by being careful, HR, by being careful about the kind of staff you hire. If you hire a staff that is not able so much, you've already made mistake. You can never get results beyond the level of that person. So be careful in your selection process. 2, increase ability by development, by training, by coaching, by mentoring, so employees can do better. Increase motivation by providing employees various rewards, intrinsic rewards, extrinsic reward. It is not everything that has to do with money. Look at the work environment. Look at the job title. Look at the way the job is configured. Look at the job enrichment and job enlargement. These are things that might increase motivation for the employee at that point in time. And then finally, opportunity. We can improve or increase opportunity by providing employee with the opportunity to use the skills they have, to practice the skills they've had, and also to be able to do the job that they've been given. Remove bureaucracies from the organization. It reduces opportunities. Remove bottleneck and process failures in the organization. It reduces employees' performance at that point in time. Okay. So those are the things you can do in order to plan for performance very well. So any questions or feedback in this particular area? If I can take a question that was raised by someone, Ugo says that he is trying to find the difference between feedback, coaching, and counseling. Ugo, it's quite straightforward. Feedback is when you tell an employee that he has done well or he has not done well and encourage him to improve in the area that he has done, all right? You recognize the fact that he has done well at that point in time. Coaching, on the other hand, is where an employee does not have the skill, the competence, the knowledge to do the job. So you teach him, you guide him, you train him, you build him in that area. That's coaching. Counseling, the employee's behavior is not acceptable according to the organization. He's shouting in the office. He's shouting to customers. He's insulting customers. He's always late. He makes mistakes, all right? He sleeps in the office on duty. Those are examples of situations for counseling. So you sit down the employee and explain to him that he needs to improve in those areas. I hope that answers you. So if there's another question on performance planning, please share it. Number 3, performance monitoring and feedback. What does it really mean to monitor performance? Monitoring performance has to be structured. It's not random. It must be a planned set of activities between the manager and the employee at that point in time on how they must do their jobs very well. Employee collects examples and samples of their actual performance, and then the manager compares it with the results that is supposed to be gotten at that point in time in the organization. Now, it isn't about checking every bit of your employees' work performance or what is going on at that point in time, right? We must also be careful on how we measure performance in the organization. Now, corporate performance monitoring, there are components for the framework when it comes to corporate performance monitoring. There are 4 components for monitoring performance at the corporate level, at the MD's level, at the C-suites as the case is. 1 is what we call the divisional or departmental performance scorecards. The second one is the CEO's performance dashboard. If you're using a balanced scorecard, that dashboard will be showing financials, customer, process, and then learning and growth on it, how the organization is delivering on those areas. 3, at the corporate level, is what we call the MPR. For those in the banking industry to understand it easily, the monthly performance review sessions. Those are frameworks for monitoring performance within a corporate organization. Finally, number 4, a lot of executives forget to do this. On a periodic basis, preferably on a monthly basis, the CEO or whoever is in charge, as the case may be, must send out a monthly performance communique to the organization, helping the organization understand the progress and the failures at that point in time within the organization. I'm fine. So how do you, at the end of the day, how do you ensure that you are able to monitor performance? How does managing or monitoring employee performance work? Managers must monitor the work performance of their employees on a regular basis. You see the corporate one, all the things we said at the corporate, have you noticed on the average, the list is monthly. But you cannot do employee performance monitoring monthly. It is too long. There will have been failures already. There will have been issues already. You must agree periodically based on the employee's ability and what the person is working on, how often you should check in on the progress of the employee. Some employees require daily check-ins. On a daily basis, you must stop by and check how he's doing his job. Some others require more than 1 check-in in a day, depending on whether they are strong in their job, they understand the work they are doing or not. For some others, based on the tasks they are doing, especially for routine jobs, you may check in once a week, as the case may be. So some managers choose to monitor every aspect of the employee's work, day-to-day activities, and they choose to take a hands-on approach. Be careful. What hands-on approach when you're monitoring employees' performance, it may be seen as micromanagement. you are disturbing the employee from doing his job. Of the review process. Don't wait for HR to say this is the time for review. On a periodic basis, keep record of your own review with your employees. So monitoring can take place in several forms, depending on what is going on at that point. You can review employees' work activities. You can read reports, charts, workload, progress, the public or the clients of the organization. Then you note and investigate any complaints and commendations that you may have at that point in time. So those are the various ways to look at this. For monitoring to be effective, you cannot just rely on only one means of monitoring. Use to monitor. Meetings, part of it. One-to-one discussion is part of it. Reports, okay? What are the error rates in the reports? How often do you correct reports? Accuracy reports, deadlines that are met, budget forecasts, and all the things like that. Those are ways you can use to measure an employee's performance within the organization to ensure it is doing very well. One of the biggest mistakes we make when it comes to performance management or managing an employee's performance is the lack of coaching and mentoring. Before you're made a supervisor or a manager, you must already be good at supervising people. And that's the mistake we make. We promote an employee who is performing very well into a managerial position just because he has performed as an individual. We did not check whether he has the ability or the competence to supervise at that point in time. So we need to focus on coaching and mentoring as a way to improve the performance management system in the organization. Yes, okay, so we have a question. Let me quickly take that particular question. Wow, Prince, this your question is very long. Okay, there are two questions. Before I come to Prince, Grace says, what will happen if the performance appraisal is done and to review results, the management refused to review? What can HR do at that point in that? First, the organization perhaps will have finished performance appraisal and management refuses to review the outcome of the appraisal. You didn't get the buy-in. That means management was not part of the process. Management did not believe in the performance management system in the first place. There are some organizations that believe strongly that their success is dependent on how they manage performance, while some organizations are not aware of that. So they may turn a deaf ear to your performance management process. As HR, you must sell the business case. You must continue to sell to the organization why performance management is critical and show by case studies and by examples how this is working very well. Finally, Prince says a new manager resumes work. A new manager resumes work and go through the induction and settle down for the work. He now finds out that some of the things his employees need to do, needs to be done, need to be changed. And he's trying to do this, but some employees feel that this man is becoming trouble on our neck. We have been doing things the same way. Why is he telling us that he needs to change it? No, this is the way we have to do the things the way we used to do. How is the manager supposed to handle it? This is an issue of change management. The employees do not recognize or agree that there is need for change. So the manager should not force it upfront. He should first sell the future to his team. If they are not willing to change, after he has demonstrated to them the good side of success on their other side and has encouraged them and given them the resources of change and they refuse to change, he should either escalate forward, upward, or request for a change of the team configuration so he can do the job that he has been hired to do at that point in time. If the employees know how to do the job well and it has been working well, why did senior management hire a manager? So they should think about that at that point in time. All right. Thank you, Prince. So finally, let's quickly look at performance appraisal. Your performance appraisal exercise. This is one of the areas that HR is hated the most in a lot of organizations. People dislike appraisal. But what is the objective of performance appraisal? There are 4 objectives. 1, performance appraisal is designed to motivate employees. If you finish a performance appraisal and an employee is feeling moody and demotivated, we have not done the appraisal well. 2, performance appraisal is designed to plan the development of employee as we move. So at the end of each appraisal of improvement, development, and progress. Performance appraisal employee he has period. And that used to document ratings.
Hello. Hello, I can't hear anything.
Hello, and good morning, everybody. Please kindly hold on a little. Mr. Joe is having a little network issues.
Okay.
He will soon join us.
Okay, no problem.
Let me share the screen again. So your performance appraisal is designed as a way in order to recognize the past effort of the employee, what the employee has done in the past, and to help him to configure and look into the future as he continues to produce results at that point in time. It also helps us to look at the developmental areas that the employee needs to be uncovered. Then from a team level, performance reviews and appraisal is used to align the effort of all team members to the objective of the team, and it motivates the team also if they have done well at that point. Then from an organizational point of view, performance appraisal helps us, especially departments like HR, to document developmental areas. So at next performance season, they can work on improving employees' performance in the organization. And finally, it ensures that we achieve the key objectives within the organization at that point in time. Make sure that your performance review meetings are encouraging meetings, are meetings that employees look forward to. Sometimes performance review meetings employees are afraid of it, maybe because of the kind of line manager they have, or because of what the manager has told them. You know, sometimes a manager will say it's an appraisal during appraisal. Appraiser. When you use comments like that, eventually when the day performance manager that says, please, employee, let's have a review. And do not tell an employee that you want to have performance appraisal with him the same hour without giving him time to prepare. If possible, give an employee at least 2 days notice to the review period, so that the employee can have enough time to think through and articulate what he has delivered over time. All right. And then you, to the manager, ensure you're clear on the employee's role and how it has evolved or changed over time till that point in time. Some of the questions you may ask yourself: has the employee achieved the set objectives? Has he displayed the right behaviors in line with the competencies? Has he met the agreed improvement areas and the developmental areas? Are there any objectives related to his key result areas for the next period? And does the employee have any problems with carrying out his task from the way it was done previously? And the employee himself should also think about your line manager before you go to the performance review. Don't assume that because he's an appraiser, you can go in there anyhow. Think of the personality of the line manager, how he thought, how he engages. And then do you think you've achieved sincere and be very, very objective in other related areas? So when you sit down with your manager, you can make those particular requests with your manager at that point in time. There are a few golden rules when it comes to performance review. All right, always be prepared, right? Use praise as a manager. Praise the employee. You know the sandwich praise method. You praise, you caution, you praise again, as the case may be at that point in time. Then you let the employee to do most of the talking. You can't go into an appraisal and you, the manager, you're doing talking from beginning to the end. No. Before you start discussing, all right? Then discuss his performance, not his personality. I say again, discuss his performance, not his personality. Then encourage analysis of performance so that he can be very constructive and take ownership of improvement as he continues to make progress. Do not deliver unexpected criticism. An employee must not be hearing the first time about what he did wrongly during the appraisal season. It should have been discussed with him previously. If you did not discuss it, please keep your peace. Don't surprise the employee during the appraisal season and tell them, this way you didn't do it well. Meanwhile, you didn't mention it all those while. The employee could have had the opportunity to make corrections and amendments at that point in time. Then agree on future goals that they are going to work on also. At the end of your performance review, there are always outcomes. In some organizations, there are promotions, there are probations, there are performance improvement plans. In some places, there are exits for continuous weak performance, as the case may be. All right. And then, of course, generally, there is a status quo, or some people are redeployed to various areas. Now, as a warning, as you manage performance, and this is my concluding slide, look out for certain performance barriers, warning signs, like absenteeism, an employee that is always absent. There's always a reason to be absent, or an employee that is usually late to work, always coming late to work. Those are performance barriers. Work avoidance, you give him work, you'll be dodging work, all right? Negative attitude, also not acceptable. Employees with negative attitudes. Then poor skills, it's not very good because it creates relationship issues for him and his team members and colleagues in the office. Insubordination. Some employees are disrespectful of their superiors. So whenever you see anybody behaving that way, is a sign of a performance failure that is coming along the way. And then non-compliance with the rules of the organization. Non-compliance with the rules of the organization. Those are also other examples of what we see as performance failures with team members. Okay. So this is where we will stop in this conversation. Thank you very much. I'll take other questions that you have. Please ask your questions. Thank you very much. Feedback, questions. Yes, any feedback or questions?
Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Yes, please.
Hello, sir.
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. Good morning, sir. Thank you very much for doing justice to the slide. My name's Ayuba Imam from Fidelity Managers Kano. My question goes this way. Sir, as a manager. Yes, I'm in Kano, sir.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah. Sir, as a manager, is it advisable to always be harsh and very rigid to your team members so as for them to achieve the stated objective of that particular organization? If not, so what are the measures for you to take as a manager so that you can aggressively encourage or ask the team members to achieve their stated objectives? That's my question. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mohammed. First, if you have a team that you are an aggressive person and the team is not aggressive, you're in the wrong team. A line manager and his team, they must click together. If you're moving on the fast lane, your team members must be individuals who are also fast lane moving individuals. If you're a manager that like thinking things through, take your time in doing things, your team members must be people who process things very well, who are logical and analytical in the way they do things. So if you're fortunate to have a team that is slow, please don't use aggression. Aggression does not get you sustained results. You can use aggression and push your team. You get results in the now, but you cannot sustain that result. To being pushed in order to get results. Rather, get them to buy in, agree with each person's deliverable, and then use the performance monitoring we mentioned earlier. Monitor people's performance individually. The way you monitor James must be different from the way you monitor Beatrice, because Beatrice's style of working will be different from James' own. So that everybody gets the kind of attention that it requires in order to get the thing. All right, so that's what I would recommend for you to do.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So, okay, so we have a question here that says, is balance scorecard the job of HR alone or line managers? Interestingly, balance scorecard is an enterprise-wide tool. HR on his own cannot deploy balance scorecard. Line manager on his own cannot deploy balance scorecard. It must involve everybody in the organization, from MD down to the last person in the organization. However, you can keep the balance scorecard at the executive level, at the business level, at team levels, or down to individuals in the organization. If you haven't implemented it before, we recommend you start first at the executive and business level. Once we are used to it at that level, you can then cascade gradually so that people will not resist the change you're bringing into the organization. Bemisola says, in careful recruitment, how would one handle the ability to medically challenge persons, such as someone with SS? Because we know the person's ability will be limited and it will be discriminatory not to employ that individual. This is a sensitive conversation, Bemisola. First, we should not deny an employee of work just because he is an SS, as the case may be, except if that job, if we can prove that that job cannot be done by people with that particular medical condition. Other than that, on a fair playing field, you will hire the employee and allocate results, expectations according to what he can do. Then you support him with other stronger personalities in the organization at that point in time. All right. Okay, we have Toyi says, what is the deal? What is the ideal timeline and checklist to prepare first-time managers for people management responsibilities before promoting them? Minimum 6 months for your high flyers. And then for the average employee or average supervisor or manager, 1 to 2 years. But this is with intensive development from the management and the HR department. Thanks, Tony. Oluwaseyi says, when next are we looking at? Okay, Oluwaseyi, the teams at HR will discuss with you, all right? Okay, they will share with you, but I'm sure there's another presentation next month. Okay, thank you. I think I've taken all the questions and the concerns. Thank you very much. I will now hand you back to Ruth so that she can conclude the program. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Joel. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for today's session. So you'll be getting a mail for us. You'll be getting the recorded session and the materials of the class. And also, weekly we'll be running a session like this. So you also get a mail from us and also an invitation for each of our sessions. Thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Very much.